Hi everybody, it's bold, it's beautiful. It's the UNI-T UT139S. And what does the S stand for? Well, I'd have to say sexy. Start off at the very bottom, you'll see it says LOZ. And LOZ stands for low impedance. This feature basically determines how a signal, or not how, but whether a signal is AC or DC. And it selects the correct function and range and gives you, hopefully, the appropriate information to go with that. Also has some other nifty features to it as well. You can actually discharge a charged capacitor using the LOZ function. Instead of waiting perhaps a couple of minutes, doing it with a standard multimeter that doesn't have LOZ, it will discharge that capacitor a lot quicker in LOZ mode, and it's completely safe. So very, very cool feature. Something that's also unique feature-wise on the UT139S is the LPF. This is low-pass filter mode. And basically what it is, it's just a special circuit that's used to modify or reject unwanted frequencies of a signal. And the low-pass filter allows only a low-frequency signal to pass while basically filtering out all the other noise. So depending on your usage at work or on the bench, you may never use this feature, but if you need it, wow, super cool to have. We have a lot of the other standard modes, of course. We have the voltage AC, voltage DC. We have hertz, duty cycle, millivolts, AC DC, and as well, we have our diode capacitance, resistance, and continuity setting. And I must say, amazing capacitance range here. This thing goes up to, are you ready for this? 100 millifarad. That is huge, ginormous. So I doubt you'll ever have a capacitor that big, but this is very unique, and honestly, there's not too many multimeters around that can even come close to that. Excellent. Also have our temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit, and there is our temperature plug. Thermocouple. It's plastic. We'll test it out later. And of course, we have our current mode. We have the microamps, the milliamps, and the amps AC/DC. Now here at the bottom as well, we have something called non-contact voltage, which once again is to determine whether or not there is voltage inside a hidden source. And as you will see, the UT139S does a really, really good job. Probably the best I've seen of any multimeter yet, utilizing that NCV feature. Now, taking a closer look at this gorgeous display, you just see how clear and crisp it is. You do have two settings. If you hit the yellow button, you can actually take it down a notch, as you can see, and press it one more time, and that turns the backlight on. I kind of prefer it with the backlight on, just a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper, but honestly, any of these two settings look absolutely great. You also have a bar graph, as you can see here at the bottom, and we'll do a comparative review with another multimeter in terms of just how quick and accurate that bar graph is. I like it. Any multimeter that has a graph or scale, to me, is it's an excellent implementation. No complaints. Here you'll see what looks like a green arrow with a 3/4 circle. That is the power off mode. That means that this will turn off on its own within 10 to 15 minutes. And a way around that is really simple. We'll turn it off, hold down on the selector switch, turn it back on. You hear that beep, and there. The auto off icon is gone. So now you don't have to worry about the meter shutting off or doing other crazy things while you're using it. So excellent feature once again. Now this meter did ship with a manual. Unfortunately, it's all in Chinese, no English whatsoever, but you can download an English version online. As you can see, all English, and it is rather sparse in terms of the functionality of the meter itself. It doesn't go into great detail. In fact, things like the LPF mode, it doesn't even touch on. But that being said, at least it's something, and better than nothing. I'll leave a link to that at the bottom shortly. Now it also ships with, of course, your Unitran leads. They're rated at 10 amps. They have, they're okay. They're not gold tipped. I'd say they're pointy, sharp. In hand, they feel fairly decent. It's not going to replace my Probe Masters, but that being said, not bad. Not bad at all. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. How safe is this meter? It's a UNI-T after all. Well, guess what? I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's not that bad. And we will tear this puppy apart shortly and take a look inside. First thing we're going to look at is a voltage comparison, and I've got it right beside the big brother of the Prova 903, another true RMS multimeter. And yes, once again, the UT139S is true RMS. Also, I failed to mention that it is a 6,000 count meter. The Prova beside it is a 60,000 count. So you definitely have higher resolution with the Prova, but as you can see, display-wise, well, there's really no comparison. So we're starting off at 3.1 volts, and we will go all the way up to, in my case, the DC power supply maxes out at just over 30 volts. So here we go. Currently, we're sitting at 6.6 volts according to the DC power supply. 6.67 for the Prova. 6.67 neck and neck for the UNI-T 139S. Going up to 9.0 volts. Showing us 9.1 and 9.13 and 9.11 for the UNI-T. Let's go a little bit higher. 13.7 volts according to the DC power supply, showing us 13.82 for the Prova, 13.81, so they're really close. Let's go higher. How high can we go? Well, I told you 30 volts. Well, it's not really high, but for today's purposes. 18.5 volts showing on the DC power supply, 18.60, make me a liar, 18.58 on the Prova 903, 18.56 for the UNI-T. Going up to 26.4 volts, 26.5 for the Prova, 26.49 for the UNI-T, and now we'll max it out, 31.8 volts, and we're showing us 31.95 for the Prova, 31.94 for the UNI-T. And as you can see, unlike the Prova, the UNI-T does have a high voltage indicator. That little lightning bolt tells you that you are suddenly in the realm of high voltage. This automatically kicks in when you hit 30 volts. Now what we'll do is a quick comparison with the bar graph, and we'll just go back from 30, bring it down, up and around. Now one thing with the UNI-T, you can see the bar graph goes in 0, 10, 20 increments, opposed to the Prova, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 1 of course being 10, 2 would be 20. A little more verbose with the UT139S, which I prefer as well. So I would say speed-wise, they're pretty well neck and neck. Now, don't forget the Prova on the left is a $400 multimeter compared to the $80 UNI-T here on the right. So all in all, I'd have to say it's a tie here. I'll let you be the final judge. Now we're in the continuity mode, and I have my Probe Masters handy. We'll try it first with the Probe Masters. After that, we will try the stock UNI-T probes. All right, so with the Probe Masters, let's see how good or bad it is. Excellent. Right on. It's latched. It's quick. Very nice. Very nice. Now, once again, these are probe masters, and I'm putting like next to no pressure. So that's a 10 out of 10 in terms of continuity with the UT139S with the probe masters. Now I have the stock UNI-T leads, and here we go. Once again, continuity with the UNI-T probes. So I have to put a little bit more pressure. Definitely not as fast. Still, it's relatively good. Not as good as the probe masters, but it's definitely a pass. So there you go. Obviously, the choice I would use would be the better design probe masters, but all things considered, this was definitely okay. As for the selector switch itself, it's good. I'm not going to say it's 100%. It's a little mushy, but it does have that sort of sense of authority when you're clicking. But that being said, it can get stuck between ranges if you're not careful. And it's not going to do it now, but it did happen once before. So just take note. All in all, pretty decent. Look, feel, you've got the standing bail. Now, as you can see here, it tends to flop around. Kind of an interesting, I wouldn't say poorly designed, but there should be a little clip so that doesn't happen, because that can be annoying. You've got your holders for your probes here. It has an Intertech stamp on it. If you're on solid ground, not a problem. I usually change my meters with both hands anyway, so I'm not too concerned about the one-handed. All in all, pretty good feel. Some nice weight to it. Doesn't feel cheap. Feels good in the hand, and definitely a pass. I'm going to do a quick little EMF test here. Standard cell phone, and we'll just compare. We had a little bit of electromagnetic interference on that key site. Nothing drastic. Now on the unitrend, pretty calm, pretty calm. No, next to no interference showing up there. Try the Prova, and we're getting some. So with the EMF test here, I'm going to have to give the kudos to the UT139S. Now, I did mention the amazing capacitance range on the UNI-T UT139S, a whopping 99.99 millifarad. Yeah, that is huge, 100,000 microfarad. So the highest cap that I have currently available is this 10,000 microfarad or 10 millifarad. So let's put it into capacitance range, hit the selector switch, and let's try it out. And it's ranging right now, as you can see, into the, there we are, 9.5. Wow, that was fast, honestly, for a 10,000 microfarad. You can see that was literally 1.5, 2 seconds. So excellent, excellent job, UNI-T. I'm so impressed with the fact that it's got such a high capacitance range. It's really, really great to see. And I will definitely be using this feature a lot with this meter. Normally, meters, if you're lucky, you'll get, and I'm saying if you're lucky, you're going to get 10,000 microfarad range at the very top. There is a few that do go up to 50, 60 thousand microfarad, but to hit 100,000 microfarad or 10 millifarad is really, really great. So once again, kudos UNI-T, great job, and definitely a feature that I will be using. Now the thermocouple that the UNI-T ships with is your standard K-type thermocouple. Directly goes into the COM and the positive of the meter. And we'll just try it out. Right now we have it in Fahrenheit mode, as you can see. Hit the select switch and you can go into Celsius for our Canadian and European viewers. Let's just see how it's gonna go. Try not to burn the house down. And as you can see, wow, that's hot. That is smoking hot. So 350, 400 degrees, super quick. So that works really well. Nice feature to have, and even nicer is the fact that you can go between Celsius or Fahrenheit. Another neat feature with the UT139S is the NCV, non-contact voltage detection mode. As you can see here, it's switched to the NCV mode here at the bottom, and it says EF, and EF stands for electric field. Now the input voltage, if it's greater than 600 volts, the buzzer will continuously beep, and if the input current is greater than 10 amps, the buzzer will continuously beep as well. And we'll give it a little demonstration here to the power bar. Now, one nice thing about this particular version of NCV is the fact that it seems to actually work. A lot of multimeters have this, and I'll say it's a gimmick on a lot of them. But in the case of the UT139S, it seems to be very accurate, and as well, it works. You see the lines there? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars that showed up. Pull away from the voltage source, now we're down to 1. I like that. I like the visual indicator as well. So, excellent. So in the case of the UT139, NCV, thumbs up. Right now it's in AC mode, and I have the ProMaster stuck into a surge protector, and you can see no problems reading 121.6 volts AC. And once again, one of the neat features, again, that most multimeters should have that unfortunately don't, very simple, is just the high voltage detector. And once again, this kicks in at around 30 volts. Last feature we look at before we take this puppy apart is the diode mode. And in front of me here we have a display board from an LCD display monitor. And we'll just do a quick diode test. And you can see there's the forward voltage drop. And once again, so it doesn't have that nice beeping sound. Truly a feature that very few multimeters have, that let you know your diode is performing. We do have the visual indicator, which is nice. I really miss that beeping sound. You'll get that on your flukes and Hyokis, but all in all, it works really well. Another benefit of the EBTN display is that even in direct light, I have the meter right beside a window right now. Still, the contrast, the clarity is there. So unlike some of the OLED products in the past where you would take them outside and basically you couldn't see much, this particular EBTN display is still quite usable. So yeah, that's kudos to UNI-T for doing that. So looking at the back of the meter, you can see it's quite slim, quite slender. It has the ETL Intertech. According to what it says, conforms to UL standards, certified to CSA standards, and the ETL seal and Intertech seal of approval. Batteries itself, it has this one mechanism here, and everything comes flying out. Powered by 2 AA batteries. And right away you'll notice that you have immediate access to the fuse, that is the milliamp fuse. You do not have such easy access to the current range fuse, unfortunately. But there is a nice metal threaded insert here. So at least to get to the batteries and to change the milliamp fuse, quite easy. Okay, we are inside the UNI-T 139S, and right away, it's not looking so bad, is it? We've got a 10 amp fuse on the current range and a 600 volt, 600 milliamp fuse on the milliamp range. We have our current shunt over here, small, but it'll do the job. The inputs are nicely screwed in with the metal standoffs into the plastic encasements, so they're not going to go anywhere. And so here we are a little bit closer, and you can see we have not one, not two, but 3 PTCs. Now the PTCs are basically used on the low voltage side. So when overcurrent happens, they basically open up a circuit, and after a little while they go back to normal operation. They're sort of like a resettable fuse. So we got 3 of those in line. Now up here we've got 1, 2, 3 MOVs, and these are basically for clamping, voltage spikes, surges, that kind of thing. And the problem with these little guys is, don't get me wrong, it's great to see these. They do have a nasty tendency to explode. And when that happens, there's all sorts of junk that comes spewing in a, let's call it a high energy impact. That's why you see the heat shrink that's always over these MOVs to help take away that sort of spewing effect. But good to see. So in terms of input protection, I'm already quite impressed. We have some diode clamping going on here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diodes. And I'm just going to move it up a little bit here for you. Now, as you can see, the 139 here, it says revision 08.1. And the fabrication date, I would assume, would be December 5th, 2017. So, yes, it's a new multimeter. Now, taking a closer look at the IC itself, it's a little hard to see, but it's a Hicon Technologies microcontroller. And with these ICs, they do have an embedded true RMS converter, so there is not a standalone dedicated TRMS IC. Alongside it over here, we have what I believe, I'm not 100%, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think this is the driver display for the OLED, so it is its own IC. All in all, very clean, very nicely done. Not a lot of unneeded crap, so to say. There is some spark gap protection down at the fuse level. So all in all, I'm pretty content. I'm going to say yes, go ahead and use this. Feel safe. Would I choose this over a Fluke? Probably not. But once again, in terms of Chinese input protection and safety, UNI-T has definitely come a long way. And in this case, it's a good thing. Now, something I want to point out as well is, surprisingly, I don't see any shielding. So the back cover is completely exposed, and yet this did really well in terms of the EMF test. So slightly perplexing, but nonetheless, yeah, no shielding. Closing thoughts on the UNI-T UT139S. Well, I really like it. What don't I like about it? Well, I really wish both fuses were accessible from the main battery compartment. It's great to have access to one, but having access to both would make a lot more sense in the long run. The standing bail itself, a little flimsy, a little too flimsy. If you're carrying this around, it's going to probably drive you a little crazy at some point, but if it's sitting on the bench, it's not going to be an issue. What do I like about it? Well, I love the specs. I mean, we're talking, 99.99, 100 millifarad for capacitance range. Out of this world. Awesome. You've got performance features I didn't even get a chance to touch on in this review, including the LOZ mode, the LPF, and it's just an incredible bang for the buck. Finally, this actually has some input protection, and we're not talking a glass fuse. MOVs, PTCs, diode clamping, this is excellent, and it shows me that Unitrend is taking hobbyists seriously in terms of input protection, and professionals as well. So good job, UNI-T. Keep up the great work. I like what I'm seeing. The UNI-T UT139S gets a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching this video review. Plenty more coming. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. I hope you found the review helpful. And remember, keep on testing.